A little guest in the office here today. Super Mortgage Team, Joe Bondy from Dominion Lending Centers, FSRA number 12360. If you're keeping track at home, love having the guests on here. I mean, we've been wanting to do this for a while now, and of course, our first guest, the great Joe Bondy. How you doing, Joe?
Great. Good. Thanks for having me. It's a great honor to be at the AW for you. Headquarters.
Yeah.
World headquarters.
Yeah. So this is our Canada location, and it's our only location. But that's okay.
For now.
Lots to talk about here today. Lots to talk about. First of all, thank you for sponsoring the episode that you're on. We always appreciate that. You have sponsored before, but to have you on and sponsor is absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But let's lead with the elephant in the room. How's that intro?
Yeah, the intro was fantastic. I thought with the guest on we might get away with not talking about it, but
no, the intro was sick, man.
Yeah,
That's
man.
Awesome.
Spring 2022 new intro.
And I wanted to talk about another elephant in the room before we get into it.
Sure.
I've been getting blown up with questions about, hey Scott, why have you been wearing a hat in all your videos lately? I think the last 5 or 6 I did, I got the backwards hat on.
Yeah, we've noticed.
So the reason why is because I decided that I was going to get a buzz cut. I thought it might look good. Turns out that it doesn't. So you're going to be seeing me in a hat for the next few weeks, maybe a few months until it grows back. So that's the big elephant in the room. I know a lot of people are talking about it.
Yeah, I mean DMs are
overflowing
on
questions.
fire. I mean that Dyson video was one thing.
You and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be.
But the DMs we've been getting from you
the
wearing a hat all the
backwards
time has been good. I'm in between cuts myself right now, so I'm not feeling the best either. So I'm trying to plan them around going away, and I'm in between cuts, so I apologize for that as well. And I'm growing the beard out, so my barber has a great opportunity with a blank canvas to do what he wants.
Amazing.
So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
Cool.
Other elephant in the room. Other elephant in the room. Let's talk mortgage rates. And
yes.
I think everybody's waiting for the crash and the mortgage rates to go up, and everybody's gonna just be like, oh my god, I'm stuck in my house. What do I do? Joe, give us the breakdown on mortgage rates, and if are they going up, are they going down, are they going to go up where it's going to make a huge difference in our market? What's happening out there?
Rates, the big topic. For the last 10 years, rates were supposed to be going up, and every year I tell people rates are going to go up, and I'm a liar. So I don't want to be a liar. But the good news is they haven't gone up. They've only gone down over the last few years. But I think inevitably they are going to go up. By if anybody's in a variable, by middle of next year, maybe April, May, you're probably going to see a 0.25% increase towards the end of the year, a 0.5% increase. What that means today is you're still going to be at 2% interest rates, ridiculously low. I wouldn't get too scared about it. On the fixed side, the fixed rates have really gone up in the last 3 months, but that's cyclical. Every year after September, rates go up, they go up until March, and then you hit the spring market, it gets very competitive, rates start coming back down. So are rates going to go up? The answer is yes. Is it going to make a big difference? I don't think so. Maybe a 0.5% over the next year or two.
Which would still put you below the current fixed rate that you're getting
historically,
right now, right?
you're beautiful. Well, the variable is always going to be lower than the fixed rate at any point in time, right? Right now we're seeing prime -1 on variable rates, which is almost unheard of. We've seen better than that about a month ago.
So why would somebody go with a fixed as opposed to a variable if we know that the variable outbeats the fixed all the time? It's just for security, or
it's the security. It's the I like to say it's the you can sleep at night rate. You take your fixed rate, you throw it in the closet, you worry about it in 5 years.
Yeah.
Whereas the variable, you do have to pay a little bit of attention. We set up a strategy when anybody takes a variable where we tell them to increase their payment just by 10%. So then they act like they took the fixed rate. In the short term, they beat down their principal. In the long term, as rates go up, they've already compensated for it, right? So you're making a payment up here, your interest rate's down there. All this extra is going to principal. You're ahead of schedule on your amortization as you're paying it down.
Sound advice.
And we do
so
that.
So the current fix that you're seeing, I've been seeing kind of 2.75 for some of my clients. The current variable is around 1.5. Is that accurate in general?
145 on the variable. I've got as low on a 5-year fixed 244 right now from one of my lenders.
So you would have to
So-
see a full percentage increase in rates to bring that variable up approximately.
You got to see basically 4 increases to.
Four increase. And I think they're going to have a hard time doing that without putting the economy at risk. I always personally go variable because if I understand correctly, over 100 years, variable outperforms fixed, right, over that long period of time.
Over the last 30 years, there's been a 2-year period where it hasn't outperformed the fixed rate, but that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
So, yeah, and it also leaves you open for refinancing without penalties, a few other things to consider as well.
Well,
if you're on the
it's
investment
also the
side.
lowest penalty if you're going to sell the property, right? It's only 3 months interest in a variable,
Yeah.
whereas the fixed rates come with a penalty of 3 months interest or interest rate differential, whichever is higher. Sometimes interest rate differential could be like 10 months worth of interest. So
Yeah, I've given up trying to predict interest rates. Okay,
Yeah.
I learned this
Me
about
too.
5 or 6 years ago. That's why I just go variable. But like you said, if you want to sleep at night, fixed might be an option for you. But
Yeah, great little bonus stock there. Fixed versus variable and interest rates where they're heading. This is the type of stuff that people want. We want to kind of hit every demographic of our viewer here. So we're going to hit 3 questions. One pertaining to first-time home buyers. The second pertaining to people who have a current mortgage and the options of refining that current mortgage. And question 3 I want to ask because I was in this situation a couple times already this past quarter, where if you're the older demographic or if you've paid your mortgage off and you don't have a mortgage and you buy a house and you need money to close on that house that you purchased first before your current house closes, how are we getting the money to bridge the gap?
How do we
there?
navigate that? Yeah.
That's a question that I think people want to know because it's come up a few times in my experiences.
Well, let's
on
ask
deals
the
we've done
expert.
this year. So let's start with first-time home buyer. What's the pre-approval process look like for them these days, and what documents do we need for a nice, firm pre-approval?
So pre-approvals, first thing any first time or any home buyer period should do is come see their mortgage person.
Agreed.
We send them out a virtual application. We tell them all the documents they need. It's completely secure. They upload all their documents into our portal and they fill in the application. I review it. Then I have a phone conversation or a face-to-face, whatever makes sense. Usually first-time home buyers, I do like to do the face-to-face conversations because then I can go over Mortgage 101 and tell them what they're getting themselves into for the next 25 years.
Absolutely.
Right? That's kind of important.
More sound advice, and that's what
Yeah, and that portal's super easy to use. I just used it. Joe helped me out with something. Super easy to use. I really enjoyed it. Just uploading the documents all electronically.
What documents are you looking for?
So it really depends on if you're self-employed or not. If you're not self-employed, job letter, pay stub, last 2 years T4s, and then confirmation of a down payment. If you are self-employed, we need T1 general, tax returns, notice of assessments, articles of incorporation or proof that you are a business owner. And then we go from there.
And first-time home buyer is 5% down, correct?
Anybody can buy for 5% down as long as their credit score is high enough. Usually
And
they
if
like
it's your
to see,
personal residence.
and
Or
it's
if
your
you're living-
personal residence or a second home for that matter.
Ah.
You can have a second home with 5% down as well, but you need a credit score of about 680 or above. Sometimes, depending on the strength of the client, they might allow 650, but 680 is kind of the rule of thumb for that.
Yeah, and first-time home buyers, if you're coming to us, our first conversation is going to be about money, where it's coming from, and how much of it do we have, and your pre-approval, what that's at, and then more importantly, what you want to spend. Just because you're pre-approved at this amount doesn't mean that we're going to spend that
That's a good
amount.
point.
We're gonna stay in your comfort zone, beat that price area up until we have to move it up if we have to. But hopefully
Yeah, we can't really do our jobs until we know your price range.
Yeah.
Once we know your price range, we know what you should be looking at and what you shouldn't be looking at. So, with the list price not matching the sale price, you don't want to be looking at stuff that's going to be out of your budget. So that's why we have to have that budget firmed up first.
follow the process.
And the one thing that we have now versus what I used to have is that when you do have less than 20% down, you get a preferred rate because it's
Good
an
point.
insured mortgage through one of the mortgage insurers, CMHC, Sagen, or Canada Guarantee. Saves you about 0.2 to 0.3 of a percent, which on a $200,000 mortgage is approximately $2,000 a year.
Yeah.
So if you had a 5-year mortgage and you're a first-time home buyer, you're saving 10 grand over the first 5 years by, come
And that's
visit
because
us.
the bank is taking on less risk because they're insuring it, so you're able to offer a lower rate. Is that
That's correct,
understood correctly? Okay. Yeah, so that's a great point as well. You actually get a lower rate with insured mortgage. Good
So
one.
first time home buyers, the process starts, if you come to us first and you haven't got any mortgage advice, it's that we're gonna shoot you to the proper place for that. Moving on, if you do have a mortgage and you're in a property and you've been the beneficiary of some great times in Windsor and you have some equity, I'm sure you're seeing a lot more refis today than when I started in real estate in '09.
I'm seeing a ton of,
Oh, wait, sorry.
ton of refis.
Yeah.
Everybody's house is an ATM
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically.
Why are people refining? And the majority of them, why do, I have a lot of people that refi to buy other properties, which is always smart to do. Paying down your mortgage, in my opinion, is not the smartest thing to do. I think we would all agree with that. You want to milk the cow, not slaughter it. What are some other reasons people are refining, and what's that process look like?
Well, a lot of people are refinancing, to pay off their high interest debt, their credit cards and so forth. A lot of people in Windsor are refinancing to invest. Rates are so low, they can borrow a ton of money from their house. They can either invest it in the market or they can invest it into real estate, which we're seeing. The nice thing about that is now you're making that portion of your home mortgage tax deductible. So you're getting some tax deductibility by doing so, because when you're borrowing to invest, and you should verify this with an accountant, but that's a little asterisk.
Yeah.
But
Again,
you
that's
do get
FRSA
to.
number 12360.
Yeah, one way to look at it, just from an investment
Yeah.
perspective, is if you're borrowing money at 2% on a refinance, and inflation is 5 or 6%, it's kind of a no-brainer just from a pure dollars and cents
Yeah.
mentality. Every time I make a mortgage payment, I'm theoretically losing money because inflation's going up faster than my payments. So something to think about from that investment perspective. And the high interest other debt, tap into that cheap debt and pay that off makes sense as well. Any other reasons that people are doing it, or anything else that you're seeing?
Pools, additions.
Rules additions, when they were trapped at home with COVID, we've seen a lot of it because they were making their house their new
Yeah.
playground versus
Good point.
traveling or.
A lot of people get frustrated with the market as well, right? They're out there looking and trying to find something, and they can't find something that they love. So they're saying, you know what, we do like this house. Let's invest some money into it so we can love this house
Great
again, and either put an addition on, a pool, yard,
Or all the above?
and gut it, whatever we got to do.
Yeah.
But that refining option is great because everybody's got awesome equity in their house, right?
Yeah.
And that's an 80% loan to value, right?
You can go to a maximum of 80%.
Okay.
If you want to do a secured line of credit, you can go to a maximum of 65%. So
Okay.
it just depends on what best suits your needs. When we meet with people, we give them the advice, we assess their situation. So
Good. Now bringing it to my people who don't have a mortgage. So, and I want to run this situation by you. We've got 2 minutes left here, but I have a client who bought a house. They sold their house. The house that they bought closes before the sale of their house. They have no mortgage, so we can't bridge or anything like that. How does that look? How do we get the money to close the
there's two
first house?
options.
Yeah.
So they can do a bridge loan.
They can, okay.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're talking short-term money, you have fees, a very high interest rate, and it's like 100% financing. So they're going to pay a lot of money to bridge that
Yeah.
mortgage. The other option that they should do is they can put a secured line of credit against the new property up to 65%, and then we only bridge 35%, right? Secured line of credit interest rates like prime plus 1, so you're talking 3.45% versus a bridge loan that'll be minimum 8% plus fees, right? And the nice thing about having that secured line of credit is once they close the existing house, they can pay off that line of credit, no penalties,
Yeah.
but they still have access to those funds if an emergency were ever to occur in the future.
Okay.
They needed money to
all
invest.
set up, it's all there,
It's all
yeah,
set up,
nice.
it's there, and they avoid mortgage fraud. When you have a free and clear home, there are people out there that'll go and put liens against your property, and you go to sell it or refinance in the future. The lawyer finds out there's a lien against your property. You either pay it out so that person gets their money, which is that was a scam that was going on. So we always recommend that you have some encumbrance so that somebody can't go and put a lien against your property unbeknownst to you.
Yep.
Love
Good.
it.
And this is why you need the right people on your team.
you've said it before, not all mortgage agents are built
Yeah.
the same, just like real estate agents. So make sure you do your work, do your research. We only deal with the best in our market, and that's the referrals that we supply to you guys. Guys, thanks for watching this episode. Have a great
Thank
day.
you for the opportunity.